Level 1. Recluta. You wake up on a straw mattress with every muscle in your body aching. Yesterday you were just another kid trying to survive. Today you're sleeping inside a ruined tower on an island in the middle of a river, surrounded by people who refuse to tell you their real names. Nobody bothers welcoming you. One assassin tosses you a loaf of bread. Another points toward the training yard. That's all the introduction you get. As a Recluta, you're the lowest of the low in the Brotherhood. You don't carry secret messages, you don't infiltrate fortresses, and you're definitely not trusted with assassinations. First, you have to prove you won't get yourself killed. Most of your day is spent climbing walls, churches, and broken aqueducts. Anything tall enough that falling off it might become tomorrow's lesson. The veterans make it look effortless. They run across rooftops like the laws of gravity don't apply to them. You barely make it over your first wall without scraping half the skin off your hands. But nobody laughs. They've all been there. Next is sword practice. Not with sharpened steel, of course. Instead, you're handed a wooden training sword and paired with someone who's been doing this long enough to embarrass you without breaking a sweat. He disarms you 5 times before lunch. You manage to land exactly 1 hit. He tells you that's 1 more than yesterday's recruit. By evening, you're exhausted enough to fall asleep standing. As the Brotherhood gathers for dinner, you notice something strange. Several assassins are missing the ring finger on their left hand. Nobody really seems to pay attention to it. It's simply accepted, like another piece of the uniform. You think about asking, but some questions can wait. Level 2. Servitore. On your 2nd week, they give you a title. Servitore. A generous word for house servant. You cook, you clean, and sharpen blades that aren't yours. Some days they send you to stand in a market for 6 hours with 1 instruction. Listen and remember everything. It feels like punishment until you understand it's meant to teach you. Serving inside the hideout shows you how the order breathes, who comes and goes, and what a returning team looks like when a job went wrong. Serving in the city teaches you Rome itself, which guard posts rotate at what time, which merchants pass letters folded with coins inside, and which alleys a person can vanish into. Nobody suspects a kid carrying laundry, and that's exactly why you're there. One night, an older member catches you drilling footwork alone by candlelight, long after your chores are done. He watches from the doorway and says nothing. In the morning, someone else is scrubbing the mats. Level 3. Assistente. Hold the horses, watch the far door, and if it goes wrong, ride home without us. That's your entire job tonight. And you still barely slept. You made Assistente, which is a polite way of saying you finally get to follow the real assassins around and carry their things. You don't get involved in the work. You carry rope and spare blades. You wait in alleys with the getaway horses. You learn to follow a man through a packed square without once looking straight at him. Mostly you watch. A 2-man team spends 9 days studying a target's routine for a job that takes 11 seconds. And they argue about escape routes like it's the job. Slowly it sinks in that the killing is the smallest part of what these people do. Then a job goes wrong, and a wounded assassin grips your arm the whole ride home, bleeding through his glove. When they cut the glove away in the infirmary, you see it again. A burn scar. Left ring finger. Same as the hooded man's. Every full member seems to carry one, and not one of them will tell you why. Level 4. Milite. A sword feels different when the man holding the other one wants you dead. Milite means soldier, and now you fight. You get boiled leather armor under a plain tunic, a sword fitted to your reach, and weeks with a one-eyed instructor who beats the street brawler out of you and builds something more precise in its place. Your job is open violence for the days when quiet fails. You escort couriers through bad districts, break up ambushes on the Order's allies, and when a strike team hits a Templar warehouse, you're the wall between them and the guards outside. You answer to whoever runs the operation, and for the first time, the servants and assistants answer to you. The first man you kill is a hired blade 2 heartbeats away from killing a friend of yours. Afterward, you sit with your thoughts behind a chapel where nobody can see you. The instructor finds you anyway. He doesn't say anything at first, just lowers himself down against the wall beside you and waits. Then he says the kindest thing he'll ever say to you. It's supposed to cost something. Worry the day it doesn't. Level 5. Discepolo. The old man who teaches philosophy can't climb anymore, but he can still put you on the floor in under 3 seconds. The order finally decides you're worth teaching properly. That's what a Discepolo is. A disciple. A student of more than just the blade. Every evening you sit with him while he walks a handful of you through the creed. The 3 rules everything hangs on. Stay your blade from the flesh of an innocent. Hide in plain sight. Never compromise the brotherhood. Underneath the rules sits the maxim. The sentence the whole order lies on. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted. He spends a month on those 6 words. Men have died getting them wrong, he says. They mean nobody is coming to fix the world, so the few who see that clearly have to carry it out for everyone who can't. Daytime belongs to the quiet arts, blending into crowds, climbing, moving along rooftops, killing without a sound. They strap a hidden blade to your forearm, a spring-loaded knife that sits under the wrist, and you spend 100 hours learning to trust it. The old man also finally answers the question you've carried for years. The burn scar is given at initiation, when an apprentice becomes a full assassin. He taps your bare ring finger with one crooked knuckle. Empty, for now. Level 6, Mercenario. The road to Spain takes 11 days, and you spend all of them memorizing one man's face. You're a hired blade now, and this is the first work that takes you out of Italy. The Order takes paid contracts across half of Europe, work against Templar agents and the men who bankroll them. And those fees keep the Brotherhood fed. You travel alone now, with forged papers, plain clothes, and a name that isn't yours. The work is patient and lonely. You spend 3 weeks learning a corrupt harbor master's routine, then finish it in a fish market at noon, in plain sight, and walk away before the crowd understands what it saw. First, you kneel beside him for 2 seconds and say the words you were taught. Requiescate in pace. Rest in peace. The Order kills without hatred, and that small ritual is how you prove it to yourself. The pay never stays in your pocket. It rides back to Rome and turns into weapons, safe houses, and bread for recruits like the one you used to be. What you keep is quieter than coin. Contacts in 3 countries, and a reputation for clean work that travels faster than you do. Level 7, Guerriero. 3 safe houses burn in the same week. The peacetime is over. The Templars have started fighting back, and that's exactly why the Brotherhood needs the Guerrieri. Warriors. Templars hold Rome through a powerful family with a private army and the city's purse in its fist. And when they find one thread of the Brotherhood, they burn it. You're a frontline weapon now, which puts a team behind you. When enemy mercenaries move on an allied district, you take a team of soldiers in to stop them. You hold a rooftop through an entire night against climbers, and you learn that giving orders is heavier than following them. Every choice you make gets paid for in someone else's blood. Then you lose someone. A soldier under your command takes a crossbow bolt meant for you, and they bring him home wrapped in his own cloak. Someone folds his hands on his chest, and you catch yourself checking his left ring finger. Bare. He never got far enough to earn one. Level 8, Veterano. The new ones can't even fall off a wall properly, and fixing that is your job now. You are a veteran, and you earned it by surviving long enough to be useful in a second way. Between your own contracts, you train. You run recruits up walls until their fingers bleed the way yours once did. Show the assistants how to wait. Drill the soldiers on holding a line, and make the disciples say the creed until they mean it. But you've done every job the Order has. You've scrubbed the mats, held the horses, buried your friends. So when a mission plan crosses the table, the planners want you in the room, because you're the one who can point at a line and say which part gets people killed. One morning, a recruit asks what the burn scar on the senior member's hands means. You give him the old man's answer, word for word, and it stops you for a second, hearing how much you sound like him now. Level 9, Maestro. Planning a kill takes longer than committing one, and you're in charge of the planning now. Maestro is at the top of the apprentice ladder. You design operations instead of just running them. You pick the teams, the rooftops, the escape routes, and the second escape routes for when the first ones fail. When a Templar banker needs to disappear, The question reaches your desk before anyone else's. Can it be done? And what will it cost? You answer to the Order's inner circle now, and once to the hooded man himself, older than you remember, the war carved into his face. He asks you to walk him through a plan for a job in the north, listens without interrupting, then changes a single detail. A week later, that detail saves 2 lives, and you understand exactly how far above you he still is. At the end of that meeting, he holds your eyes a moment longer than usual. "The council will call for you soon," he says. "When they do, come as you are." You know exactly what that means. Level 10, Assassino. They come for you an hour before sunrise. No explanation, just 2 senior members at your door telling you to follow. They lead you down into the hall beneath the hideout, and the whole Brotherhood is waiting there in torchlight, standing in a circle around a low fire. This is what your whole life has been working towards. The hooded man speaks the creed, and you answer each tenet back, 1 line at a time. Stay your blade from the flesh of an innocent. Hide in plain sight. Never compromise the Brotherhood. Then he gives you the rest. Where other men blindly follow the truth, remember, nothing is true. Where other men are limited by morality or law, remember, everything is permitted. Then, the fire. A senior member takes your left hand and presses a heated iron ring against your ring finger. The pain is short and sharp, and when the iron lifts, the mark you've stared at on other hands for years is finally on yours. They dress you in new robes, white and hooded, cut like the hooded man's own. Then everyone climbs to the roof, where a wooden beam juts out over the river into the gray morning light. Nobody explains what comes next, because nothing needs explaining. You walk to the end, spread your arms, and fall. The river swallows you whole, and when you surface, the rooftop above you erupts in cheering. Level 11, Master Assassin. The contracts you carry now arrive sealed, and only 1 man reads them before you do. There's only a handful of men in the entire Brotherhood who carry this rank, and they answer directly to the mentor. That's the hooded man's true title, leader of the whole branch, and learning it years ago was the moment you understood how high this ladder really goes. The jobs match the rank. Templar captains with 2 rings of bodyguards. Targets other assassins studied for months and walked away from. Once, a traitor inside the Order itself, which is the heaviest contract you'll ever close. You get the work nobody else would survive, and the freedom to do it your own way. The scar on your finger has healed smooth and pale, but the enemy knows the mark too. Twice, you've watched a Templar's agent's eyes drop to men's hands in a crowded room, hunting for it. So you wear gloves in public, even in summer. The proof you spent years earning is the one thing about you that has to stay hidden. The mentor starts handing you a different kind of work too. Less killing, more building. A safe house network in the south. Decisions about which recruits move up early. You don't ask why. You already suspect. Level 12. Mentor. The ship leaves at dawn, and you're not coming back. The night before, the mentor lays a map on the table, a city in another country where the Templars operate, with no one standing against them. The Order needs a Brotherhood there, built from nothing, and someone has to lead it. Mentor is at the top of everything, head of an entire branch, and from the moment you step off that ship, the title is yours. Building it means everything at once. You buy a failing warehouse by the docks and dig the tunnels yourself through the first winter. You find the city's thieves and pay them better than their fear. At public executions, you watch the crowd instead of the scaffold, noting who looks angry instead of entertained, because that's where recruits come from. Within 2 years, there are bunks below the warehouse, a training floor, and a forge fire that never goes out. Every burden the old mentor carried is yours now. The money, the forged papers, the creed, and the letters in your own handwriting when someone doesn't come home. One evening, you climb the tallest tower in your new city, the way you've done in every city you've ever worked. From up there, the streets sort themselves into routes, entrances, exits, places a person can vanish. Somewhere below, your enemies are meeting behind a locked door, certain nobody in this country is coming for them. You check the hay cart at the tower's base out of habit, and step off the ledge. The same fall that was once the proudest moment of your life is now just the fastest way down, because the night's work is waiting at the bottom. Thank you for sticking around till the end. If you like this video, consider becoming a channel member. Your support directly helps us create more videos just like this one. Also, watch this video next.